Dazed and Confused is the perfect recapturing of stereotypical 70s culture and what should be the standard for high school-based movies. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I already uploaded this review earlier in the week, and my praise for the film was mostly to do with how well it acts as a time capsule for the 70s, and so I assumed it was released in the 70s when it was actually released in 1993. In all honesty, this only makes it that much better in my opinion. I had originally assumed that the movie's merits were a happy accident by virtue of the time period it was made in, but in reality, it's a perfectly nostalgic throwback to not only the stereotypical culture of the 70s, but the filmmaking style of it as well. Dazed and Confused is a very simple movie, which is something that caught me off guard when I first tried to watch it. There's not much to the plot beyond following a few groups of characters over the course of a night on the last day of school before summer, which is very firmly in the plot cliche Hall of Fame at this point, but it's interesting in this film because of the large cast, how different all the characters are, and how frequently the point of view changes between the different groups. Not only this, but the story, or lack thereof, leaves a lot of room for the character interactions to drive the film, which, given how entertaining they are by virtue of them being walking stereotypes, makes for a lighthearted and fun movie. Dazed and Confused makes no attempt to analyze the life of a high schooler or the social situations that they may find themselves in, and that's refreshing. It sticks to being a lighthearted and feel-good comedy, and it does that really well. Part of what makes the movie feel so laid back is how free-flowing it is with structure. It functions the same as any normal day with a bunch of teenagers would. Plans fall through and change, and the characters adapt to this without conflict. While it sounds like a movie with such little direction, and a movie that is basically devoid of any conflict would be uninteresting, it avoids this with its relaxed atmosphere and flexible story. The characters are also an important aspect in this. They are so stereotypically 70s, it's impossible not to find them entertaining. From Ben Affleck's senior year repeating bully to Rory Cotrane's constantly out of it stoner, every character with a role in Dazed and Confused revels in the archetypes of high school characters, and given how ridiculously one-dimensional each character in the movie is, it's surprising how down-to-earth they seem. I think this is in part due to the fact that it's true across the entire cast. There's not a standout character that's more ridiculous than the rest, and so it seems normal for everyone to be the way they are and to be as ridiculous as they are. In addition to this, the ability to look back on what characters were present in a lot of 70s movies of this style means that a screenplay can make adjustments where it's necessary, and that's important. While each character has its roots in the archetype of a previous decade, the writing is self-aware and thus knows how easily the characters can become over the top. Also, now that I know the movie was made 2 decades later than I thought, I think it's worth giving props to the acting across the board, even in spots where it was weak. The fact that the film's end goal is to replicate something in a subtly satirical way means that I think a lot of the acting where body language or line delivery is awkward is mostly done on purpose. I could be entirely wrong in that, and I'm sure that that's not true for every single bad line in the movie, but the context of the film would justify purposely awkward acting, especially in the younger members of the cast. One of the things I enjoy most about Dazed and Confused is how perfectly it has recreated the filmmaking style of the 70s. I would normally want to critique the lack of interesting visuals in the film, but given that the film is designed around being a representation of the 70s, using this style works perfectly for what the movie is trying to achieve. The cinematography is flat and grainy, the editing is very simple, and the colors are basic. The cars and the locations are all exactly what I picture the 70s to be, and combined with the filmmaking style, it's impossible to tell that the movie was made in 1993 and not the 70s. And the music choices are perfect for this as well. There aren't a lot of times where the music is playing directly over the movie. Instead, a lot of the songs are heard playing through car radios or simply a part of the ambience of different scenes. And that's a great decision for how authentic the atmosphere of Dazed and Confused is. Something I also noticed while looking for footage for this review is how often the film opts to film a scene in one take. These editing choices fade into the background really easily, and like the music being part of the ambience, it makes it really easy to believe the world the film is presenting. I want to shout out the person who commented to say this movie was released in 1993 when I first uploaded the review, because it has entirely changed my views on its quality, and I don't know the username because I deleted the video, but thank you so much for pointing that out. You've changed this review entirely.
Dazed and Confused was a happy accident of a 6, and now it's definitely a 9. Definitely a 9. You should watch the movie.
Also, on another note, I feel bad about the lack of content that's been on the channel, and I know this review was short, but it was something. But it's been really difficult to get into reviews recently because I feel like I'm making the same comments over and over and over again about like different movies. It's like, oh, this is good, and it's like 4 reviews in a row I was like, oh, character consistency is really nice. And so when I'm trying to write reviews now, it's like, I feel like I've said this 100,000 times, so it feels weird to write it again. However, I'm gonna give it a shot to just like get back into the swing of it and just like really hammer out some stuff and just like get better at it by practicing and get into the habit of it. But yeah, just recently it's been, hard to get into it, and that's why there's been no content recently. Thanks for watching a vid with a little update at the end. Bye.